What's up YouTube? This is Hypergon, your chef with the cat, back again for another video. Now, it's fairly common knowledge that nowadays in the game, normal monsters are considered pretty, well, useless. They don't have any effects as per the inherent condition, so in order to make them usable for the most part, you need other monsters to actually work with them. However, there is still one aspect of the normal monster that is still pretty interesting, and that is the flavor text. Now, flavor text isn't something that you see on a lot of cards, since most of the card text is regulated to the actual effect of the card and what it does. However, with normal cards, that's not an issue, since they don't do anything, so the text that is on the card is simply a little snippet about the monster and what its backstory, lore, all that cool stuff is. And some of them are actually pretty interesting. A lot of them are fairly generic, however, I've managed to find my personal favorite ones, and I'm going to show you guys the top 5 flavor texts in Yu-Gi-Oh! Starting off at number 5, we have one of my personal favorites from one of what I believe to be the most underrated trolley decks of all time, White Duston. Now, White Duston himself is just the normal monster amongst the Dustons, which means he's usually the one that's going onto your side. And his flavor text reads simply, the proudest of them all. Not the proudest, the proud dust of them all. Now, normally, I'm not a big fan of puns, and in fact, they usually tend to kind of get on my nerves. However, this one I find so spectacularly stupid, it just rubs me the right way. I find Proud Dust to be hilarious, and it just works for how silly the archetype is to begin with. So that proudly earns him the number 5 spot on this list. Now, this next one's kind of interesting. It's the level 6 monster known as Trance the Magical Swordsman. Now, Trance himself is actually a pretty solid normal monster. He's level 6, so he does require tribute, but unlike most, he actually has 2600 attack, so he does actually outrank certain things like Wat Tail Dragon and Summon Skull. However, his flavor text is where I really think he is the most interesting amongst them. It reads as follows: a peculiar magician with mysterious abilities. Nothing really that weird there. However, the second part is where it gets interesting, where it says, supposedly, he has just returned from a trip to outer space. Like, what? This man's just chilling at Mars on a weekend vacay? That just seems so weird to me, but at the same time, it is still kind of funny, so I do have to give that one to Trance for having one of the most odd flavor texts in the game. Next up, we have actually 2 monsters occupying the number 3 spot, and those would be Cleefort Scout and Cleefort Monolith. Now, these cards are kind of considered to be pretty busted within the archetype just because they do allow for some amazing search and draw power. However, what I like about them is actually the flavor text, since they are considered normal pendulums. They're nothing special at first, they just kind of start off as some weird Sorga description, but then it goes into this weird Sorga broken computer gibberish, as though they're starting to crash or fail. And I just find that kind of interesting, since they were supposedly revived from beneath the tree, I believe the Naturia tree? One of those big ones. And it almost reminds like they're just coming back, they're still booting up, and I just find that kind of interesting. It's a unique take on a flavor text that isn't really seen that often, so for that reason, that earns their spot on this list. Next up, we have another level 6 monster, one I actually mentioned earlier, Wat Tail Dragon. Now, Wat Tail Dragon's initial text isn't really that impressive. It just says that it's a big dragon and attacks with electricity. Big shocker. However, what I find interesting is actually the second half of his text, which reads as follows. Important. Capturing the Wat Tail Dragon is forbidden by the ancient rules and is a level 6 offense, the minimum sentence for which is imprisonment for no less than 2,500 heliocycles. Now, that I find actually hilarious, because this references a lot of things. First of all, Ancient Rules is a card that allows you to special summon one level 5 or higher normal monster from your hand. Then, of course, it references level 6 offense, because Wat Tail Dragon is a level 6 monster, And the 2,500 Heliocycles is obviously a reference to his 2,500 attack points. Just the fact that it came up with all these clever little snippets referencing other things that work around it, I find to just be really clever and honestly kind of hilarious. So for that reason, it definitely has earned the number 2 spot on my list. Now we move on to the grand finale, number 1.
All the darkness, the dozens in the dusk, throw it all away.
In my mind, there really couldn't be any other card that could occupy the number 1 best flavor text of all time, and that is Evil Swarm Heliotrope. Again, at face value, it just appears to be nothing but incoherent gibberish. However, if you take a closer look at it, it is actually read backwards and reads as such. Eliminate, eradicate, exterminate. These are the thoughts of lingering Steel Swarm souls. Yearning... I'm sorry. Yeah, yearning for a body so that they might make their dreams a reality. Sorry, that's still kind of hard to read. But just the creativity that they came up with for taking the Evil Swarm normal monster and just having his paragraph read backwards is actually a really clever idea, and I've always found that to be cool. Now, admittedly, it obviously can be a little tricky to read. I clearly just butchered it there. But it is still a really clever idea, and for that reason, it is my number 1 favorite flavor text of all time. What do you guys think? Are these really cool flavor text? What flavor text do you guys like on cards? Let me know down in the comments below. Of course, you can also let me know your thoughts and opinions on Facebook, just like my page there. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for further content. Until next time, peace.